I would like to talk about Hee Jin Nim's mother. I had a chance to interview her. Hee Jin Nim's mother. When I was at the History Compilation Committee, I found a red-covered book in the bookshelf. It was called Sarobia. It was a compilation of poems. And I was reading these poems, and I wondered why an individual book, this book was in our archive. So I read that book, and I really was very hit and touched by the poems. I can really feel the author was talking about her relationship with God, her relationship with True Father, and also many kind of deep artistic content was reflected in the poem. So spiritually, I felt that there was something with this book. I felt that the author of this book was not a normal, was an extraordinary person, and I wanted to meet that person. At that time, I didn't even know anything about it. Later, I found out that the author was Hee Jin Nim's mother. So at that time, I took the book and brought it to Reverend Yu Gwang-ryol, who was the chairman of the committee, and I asked him who wrote this. Who is this person? The author was one person by the name of Kim Young-hee. It was at a time when we couldn't freely talk about Hee Jin Nim's mother. He just said, "You don't need to know about this," and he was actually angry at me for trying to know about things that I shouldn't know. Apparently. So I was. But still, anyway, I wanted to know who this person was. The poem was really extraordinary. So I took that book and I went to Dr. Sang-Hung Lee because his office was next door. The Unification Thought Institute was right next door to our building. So I went to Dr. Sang-Hung Lee. I had lunch with Dr. Sang-Hung Lee, and I asked him. I was talking about a lot of things with him. And I really enjoyed talking about history, so I would always often go and have a lunch with Dr. Sang-Hung Lee to really hear about the stories and about the history of the church. So I think I had a chance. There were those very happy times. And Dr. Sang-Hung Lee really taught me a lot of things, maybe as if in preparing for me to give lectures like I am today. And anyway, when I asked Dr. Sang-Hung Lee, he said, "Well, I guess you are ready, so, and because you are a person who is dealing with history, I think you should know about it." But when he said that it was Hee Jin Nim's mother, in other words, father's second wife. So that was when I first found out that this person was, who this person was. So Hee Jin Nim's mother, his younger brother is Reverend Kim Chang-gyung. And so I went to Reverend Kim Chang-gyung and asked her where she lived. And he told me her address. And I found out she lived in Ansang, Gyeonggi province in Korea. So I went to her house in Ansang. And I brought that red cover book with me. And in the beginning, of course, it was not easy to meet her, but I understood that she was going to Ansan Unification Church. So the pastor there allowed me to arrange the meeting, and I was able to meet her. And I showed her the red cover book. I wasn't, of course. I still didn't, I was meeting her for the first time, so I just introduced myself, saying that I was from the History Committee, and I said that I really felt that this red cover book was really extraordinary, and I came here to kind of better understand the poem that you wrote. She talked about her poem, and then she started to talk a little bit about the stories behind the reason why she wrote the poem. So then I continued to meet her after that, not just once, but twice, 3 times. And then one day I asked her, saying that I have a mission. I mean, because as a person who is here in the History Committee, and I promised her that I will not talk about this until the time is right, but I would like to leave a record about this story. And with that promise, she accepted my interview. In the beginning, she said she didn't want her voice to be recorded or the video to be recorded. But in the end, I was able to persuade her to record her interview on the condition that I would not make it public. So I had a chance to interview her for 3 days. Now she has said, of course, I can make it public. So that is why I can tell this to you. I can say this to you right now. After after Choi Sung-gil failed, father met Hee Jinim, mother, and explained to her about the role of Eve. Actually, Kim Myung-hee, Hee Jinim's mother, came from the Holy Lord's Church, and she then. They did not hold an official marriage, however. It is because Hee Jinim's mother was in the position of the growth level, and once she could succeed the position of the daughter, and then she could really go to be the holy wedding, to the position of the holy wedding. She was in any way she became pregnant, and then she was sent to go to the Eve's nation, in other words, Japan, and to give birth there and to come back. There was that providential condition that she goes to Japan and come back. So Hee Jinim's mother went to Japan, and there was one Yu Gyung who went with her, escorted her to Japan as her bodyguard. At that time, Korea and Japan did not have a visa. And because Japan had ruled Korea for 40 years, it was very difficult for Koreans to enter Japan at that time. So she actually went to Japan without an official visa. They borrowed a boat and kind of went in Japan in order to. So Hee Jinim's mother had that. There was that providential condition that she go to Japan and have a baby there. So she went to Japan. So in that situation, she had the baby, and she raised the baby in Japan. Then father told her to come back to Korea, saying that it is now time to do the holy wedding. But because she didn't have a visa, she could not leave Japan. Before, the baby was still in the womb, so it was easy for her to go in to Japan. But now she had to go out with the baby in her arms. So she was not able to secretly go out of Japan with that baby. So she tried to get a visa to leave Japan. So they worked with one of the officials at the immigration office. That person was actually a Korean who lived in Japan, and he promised her that he would create a visa for her so that she could leave Japan. One day, however, this immigration official, came to Hee Jinim's mother's house to make a passport. So she welcomed him to her home, and they were talking and began to discuss. But suddenly, this official raped Hee Jinim's mother. So after being raped, when she was talking about her story, she was crying, and I could understand how she must have felt at that time. And she was supposed to carry out the mission of Eve, but being violated like that, the first thing that she thought about was father, as she was being violated, and she wanted to really support and fulfill her mission as Eve. But she could not. She was so ashamed of herself that she could not face father. In any event, after that incident, she somehow managed to come back to Korea, and she sent Hee Jinim to father at Cheonpadong, but she herself did not go to father. She just wrote a letter to Father, explaining about the circumstances and reporting about what had happened. And when Father heard that, Father cried and told her not to worry, and that it was not of your choice that you were raped or violated. It was because you were violated by Satan. So I will figure out a way to restore you back to your position. So come back to me. And Father repeatedly asked her to come back, sending letters to her to come back, and sending people to bring her back. Father went to meet her, but she would always run away from him. Whenever Father would go to her, she would run away. So she said that she was unable to meet Father in person. So she continuously avoided Father. So in that circumstances, Hee-jin began to receive spiritual communications. They were saying, she said she received some revelations saying that even if she were to return to Father, because she was violated, then it would not be able for her to set a standard for a model course for Father. So even though Father sent letters and attempted to meet her, she evaded him. Father, she said that I cannot. She replied to Father saying that she cannot become a hindrance to Father's providence, and that she knew the principle, and therefore she could not do anything that would hinder. She could not do anything that would obstruct Father's providence. So she wrote it as if she was writing her will, and then she went to the mountains and stayed basically stayed in a cave during that time. For 3 years, she stayed in a cave away from human society because she was afraid that somebody might find her. So for 3 years, she was in that cave away from all of society. Father continued to search for her and look for her. But then from spirit world, but still Father had to quickly create that family. So after Choi Sung-gil failed, and after Father lost his second wife, Father's heart was really broken, and he could not even sleep at night. And showing how much Father had really loved the second wife. Father actually put Hee-jin in his family register as his son, but because Hee-jin's mother did not appear, Father had to continue on his path according to God's directions. So Father thought that Hee-jin's mother had died because she never appeared before Father. So after the years, Father, after the holy wedding in 1960, 3 years after that, Hee-jin's mother did not appear before Father, even before the wedding and after the wedding. She did not appear before Father because she feared that it would be detrimental to True Mother if she had appeared before fathers. So Hee-jin's mother continued to stay away and lived in that kind of hellish environment, so that Father can go unobstructed, unhindered on the path of this providence. She went to Hannam-dong, Hundok-hwae, and really recognized True Mother, and did not mention anything about her past relationship with Father. And even now, she is a member and leads a life of faith in that state. Right now, she has now become ill, and it is very difficult for her to move about. I have not been able to meet her recently, but I have really become very close with her. And so, whenever I meet her, she would always buys me a meal, and she's a very affectionate person. she is a really warm-hearted person. She would always grab my hand, and I can really feel that kind of love from her. She's a very warm-hearted person, and she told me that she said that she was the failed Eve. She said that she had failed her mission, and she said that she really had not set enough conditions. But she says that when she looks at True Mother right now, she sometimes feels that it was good that she wasn't in that position. In any way, in this way, Heejin Nim's mother also is still, as a member, is now supporting Father and the Providence. Choi Sung-gil also, before she died, had professed and testified about Father and also about Mother. So Father really has. Father did not. Father, what I felt after meeting Choi Sung-gil and Heejin Nim's mother, I can really felt that all the members should clearly know about the truth and clearly know about the facts, and to really, we should not even talk about these rumors and gossips regarding the women around Father. As true parents, as children, that is our mission to state the facts. Let's give a big hand for Heejin's mother. In Father's speech. Father said that if Choi Sung-gil had not failed, then it could have been accomplished with one person. But because that was not possible, this is why. There was this Old Testament, New Testament, completed testament. Vertically, we can Eve, Mary, and Chumonim basically play the role as the Holy Mother. These represent the three types of women of the age. They were restored artistically, but Park Jong-hwa wrote in a way that alleging Father of having such sexual relationship with with these women. Horizontally, there was, in the end, Sunjin Nim's mother, Heejin Nim's mother, and True Mother, which can be represented as a formation, growth, and completion level. Here, there's another point that I want to emphasize here, is about Father's heart. After Choi Sung-gil, the first mother, failed, and the second mother failed, and the third mother was finally appointed, Father was also still worried about, because True Mother also had to go through the stages of the daughter, the younger sister, and also the wife. Should she fail to go beyond that position of wife, and then that could have created many obstacles and problems in carrying out the providence. Until that time when she can reach that position, Father continuously was seeking for the Eve. In other words, until January 1st, 1975, whatever may have happened, Father has continuously, until January 1st, 1975, there were certain contingency plans that Father had in the event that True Mother was unable to reach that position. As we know, there was the first Holy Wedding in 1960, and then there was the second Holy Wedding, which was, the first Holy Wedding was carried out as the Messiah, the second Holy Wedding was carried out as the True Parent, and the third Holy Wedding was conducted as for God and His substantial wife. The third Holy Wedding, True Mother's life course has been one of restoring the 6 types of women, the 8 types of women, and perfecting herself as God's substantial wife. So when you look at providence, you can begin to understand that there were the kind of formulas that Father followed in carrying out the providence.